Buckle your seatbelts, Canada. It's about to get bumpy. And yes, this is Mark Carney's face. How long before it's on the Canadian bill? King Carney. The world is straight up rejecting Canada under the leadership of the Liberal Party and Mark Carney. Canada has seen the largest divestment of funds in Canadian history. Yes, history. This is catastrophic. The world is smashing the exit button and money is flooding out of this country faster than mainstream media's global boiling charts. People are hitting the panic button. It's time to sound the alarms, everybody. Canada has reached crisis levels. Wow, just in time for crisis, man. The country has officially entered a massive recession. Nothing like we've seen before, and the recession that we've been in for the last 2 years is gonna look like peanuts. So what does Mark Carney, our fabulous leader, do when we get this breaking news reports? His very first announcement after all of this explosive new data gets dropped on Canadian citizens. You are not going to believe what he's done. We're going to get into this report. Let's go. Holy crap, everybody. I was expecting it to be very bad, but I was not expecting literally money is flooding out of this country. Like Niagara Falls, all of the flow of water. It is the money that is flowing out of Canada. Just wait till we take a look at the data. Before we go over the data set, let's look at some preamble here. Table Salt on X posts, this is what my DMs are like. I'm seeing it too. Something is happening. Here's the post. There's a catastrophe in the horizon. I spent my last 20 years in bank risks, so I know there's a catastrophe storm brewing that makes 2009 look like a dress rehearsal. After talking to business owners every single day, I could tell you, I am terrified, absolutely terrified. We're going to start off with a BNN Bloomberg report. Canada's good trade deficit grows amid Trump's tariffs and a strong loonie. Canada's trade deficit has just reached $19.5 billion in goods and services, up from $800 million in the first quarter, Statistics Canada has released today. Here's a chart that shows what it looks like in the past, and our newest report just shows how catastrophic the decline is. See, Canada is an export-based economy. If Canada's businesses are exporting less, that means we're going to be having job losses and unemployment rates obviously going to be going up. And our deficit with trade is not just with the US it's down, it's also down around the world with 31.8 billion in the first quarter and 29.6 billion in the second quarter. That means we are losing not only in the US, we're losing around the world. And Mark Carney's cornerstone is all about trading with the rest of the world. We're trading even less with the rest of the world. 31.8 billion in the first quarter and 30 billion in the second quarter, compared to 20 billion reduction in the US this quarter. Yeah, it's declining everywhere for Canada. Our exports are going down. We're going to take a look at this Better Dwelling report. Normally, I don't take a look at these guys, but they actually put this thing together pretty good. Canada's capital flight crisis. Record exit by foreign and domestic investors. Here we go. Canada is bleeding fast, the fastest since the great financial crisis. Take that water. Where's that water? Statistics Canada data shows, the latest data shows foreign investors pulled billions from the country's Q2, with domestic investors joining the exit. So it's not just the world that's pulling out of Canada, it's also Canadians are pulling out of Canada. This goes beyond the tariffs. This sheer scale and pace of outflows points to a deeper structural crack and a fading confidence in the country's future. Am I surprised? Not at all. We were trying to warned the elbows up voters, saying, if we vote the Liberals in again after a decade of having them in charge and putting our country into the worst financial decline ever, what do you expect? Yeah, the world is basically saying Canada, led by Mark Carney, is a fail. We are out. How big is this hole? It is absolutely massive. Foreign investors sold off $16.8 billion in Canadian securities in just Q2, the largest divestment since Q2 of 2007. The pullback is primarily in bonds. This is troubling. If you have a mortgage and they're selling off the bonds, that means the bond yields are going to be going up. So when you renew your mortgage, you're going to have to pay a lot more money for that mortgage. They're also selling money market instruments and as well as equities and fund shares. In total, it's $22.65 billion withdrawn to date. The days of Canada being viewed as a safe haven during volatile times may be coming to an end. No, it's not maybe coming to an end. It is coming to an end. And this can have a big impact on households. Oh yeah, we're about to feel it harder than we've ever felt before. Less foreign capital means weaker loonie, eroding confidence, and pushing borrowing costs up. Like I said, it's when investors dump bonds, prices fall, and yields go up, driving fixed mortgage rates, and especially if Ottawa floods the market with debt into weak demand. Because they're going to have to raise all this money because we have debt that's maturing, Canada, from the pandemic, and now we're all the way to 2025. That was 5 years ago. All of this debt is maturing into a higher interest rate environment. They have to raise money from the world, and the world is rejecting Canada. That's going to push the bond yield way up to attract people to invest in Canada. We are in big trouble in this country. People are sleeping at the wheel here. Let's take a look at the top here. Canadian capital flight triples with domestic firms. Yeah, these are Canadians saying, I need to get my money out of this country and I need to get it out now. Canadian firms sent $26.8 billion abroad in Q2, up from $7.4 in Q1, with roughly half going into the United States. They're looking and going, if Mark Carney has 91% of his assets in the United States, I should probably do the same. Foreign investment made into Canadian businesses is plunging. Are you surprised? FDI into Canada fell 39% from $30.2 billion down to all the way $18.5 billion in Q2, with more than half coming from the United States. The decline can mean lower job growth, less business expansion, and weaker economic momentum. It's a clear vote of non-confidence in Canadian business climate. This is very scary stuff, Canada. The money that's being invested in Canada is leaving. Straight up. We are also in an affordability crisis, and we have a government that is more focused on fighting in Ukraine than they are fighting for our paychecks here in Canada. Let's take a look at the chart to see what it looks like. Canadian capital flight crisis records the biggest exit. We already looked at it, but take a look at the far right. The two, if we add the two, let's take a look. The first quarter, capital flight flooding out of Canada was $42.3 billion. And Q2, $43.7 billion. If you add those two together, it's close to $90 billion gone. And I think these last two paragraphs are very important, so let's read them. The capital flight contributed to a mind-boggling $43.7 billion net portfolio outflow in the Q2 alone. Imagine an amount equivalent to the federal government's entire 2024 infrastructure budget, leaving the country in just one quarter. This is not a blip, it's a warning. And ignoring it will only deepen the consequences. Do you really think the Liberals are paying attention to these statistics? I think not. And just for fun, let's read the last paragraph. The scale of capital flight implies that there's a structural issue, not just one driven by the United States tariffs. The capital exits aren't just passive, but active redeployment abroad. Weak domestic investment and a shift in perceived global attractiveness signals investors and firms to see better returns and lower risk outside of Canada. It's not a capital flight, but a flight of confidence. Confidence built over decades can take generations to rebuild if the damage isn't addressed. Let's see what Mark Carney's doing today after this massive announcement about our crumbling Canadian economy. Oh, and by the way, the reason that this is all happening is because we have a Ottawa problem. It's called a Liberal government problem. They are responsible for all of this. It's called consumer confidence. It's called world confidence. The world is straight up rejecting Canada. And it's because we're weak. If you look, I'm going to show you so much stuff today. It's going to be mind-boggling. Given all the data that I just went over with you, this is Mark Carney's post today. And I'm not joking you. You could go back and see that Mark Carney, this is it. This is his post today. Last night, Russia launched another brutal attack in Kiev that delivered targeted civilian and ended more than a dozen people, including children. By ending when he should be talking, Putin demonstrated the most horrific manner that his mission is subsume the Ukrainian people under his tyranny continues. My prayers are with the people, and we go all the way down as Canadians are working with allies to stop the ending and to secure a just and lasting peace in Ukraine, fortified by robust and credible security guarantees. Last night's attack will only hearten our resolve. Oh boy. It's only going to harden our resolve. What about what's happening here in Canada? Radio silence. He did post one more time today. Here. This is what else he posted 6 hours ago. For over a decade, members of Canadian Armed Forces have trained in Ukraine, soldiers as part of Operation Unifier. Today, that mission is more important than ever. Ukraine's fight is our fight. I'm very concerned, Canada. We're more focused on what's happening in Ukraine than what's happening here in Canada. We just got the most devastating report showing that money is exiting, panicking, and smashing the exit button with the leadership of Mark Carney. And this is what he writes. We should all be concerned. Market Mania on X says the biggest outflow in history. He's provided a chart that goes back to year 2000. What's different this time is we have broken all records to the downside. I guess elbows up is a record capital leaving Canada. This is really not good, guys, because this means that the Bank of Canada is most likely not going to cut interest rates. It's catastrophic. How many of you out there have to renew your mortgage in the next 6 months? This is called the Carney effect. I think I'm going to be sick to my stomach. We're now seeing mainstream media come out. This is the Globe and Mail. Canada must be ready to get their elbows up again. What? To stand a chance in post-Trump era. You know what I think? I think not only do we need to defund our mainstream media, we need to dismantle all of it. We have Ryan Garrickson on X. He does a great job clipping these things. Anyone absolutely embarrassed in Canada? The media and liberals have clearly gone into the realm of insanity with this. It's a psyop that needs to end yesterday. Let's take a look at this. Wow, Ryan did a good job. He's going back all the way to April 3rd, August 22nd, August 26th, July 6th. Jeez, he's got them all. He's clipped all of these articles. Let's read a couple. Canadians could put their elbows down and keep their heads high. My Tesla is not a political statement, but I could put my elbows up sticker on it anyways. Angry Canadians get their elbows up in the face of threats. U.S. border city residents puts their elbows up for Canadian amid trade war. But the middle one is one that stands out the most to me. More Americans are traveling to Canada. Is it time to put our elbows down and roll out the welcome mat? Let's actually take a look at that statement. Oh yeah, and that's from August 23rd. You guys know me, I'm a data guy, so I'm always at Statistics Canada, and I sift through and I made this post because I did an analysis on the report. Canada screened 5.8 million passengers in July domestic, 7.3% year-over-year increase. International outside of the US is up almost 10% year-over-year, and US traffic is down 7.8% year-over-year. Just so that people are aware, that's not just Canadians not going to the US. It's actually the opposite. US is not coming to Canada. Why would you? When you have Doug Ford going on CNN bashing Trump after 78 million people voted for him. He goes on to the main media outlets in the US and straight up bashes Donald Trump. He pulls U.S. liquor out of the LCBO shelves despite USMCA. And our government ran an elbows up campaign like we wanted to elbow Americans in the face. Surprise, surprise that Americans aren't coming. Let's take a look at these charts. I wanted to show you guys this one. It's the number of passengers screened at 8 largest airports in Canada from 2020 to 2025. By the way, the summer months are the peak. We're about the same as last summer. It's important to look at all the data sets. So the number of screened passengers at 8 largest airports in Canada by sector. The dark blue is the domestic, which year over year, it's about the same. International is the one that is up this year. Transborder is down from last year. But if you look at 2023 and you look at 2022, I mean, 2022 was the smallest year, but that was also during the shutdown. But if we look at 2019, it's very similar to 2019. This is the last air travel chart, the year-over-year percentage change in monthly screened passengers. But let's specifically look at transborder. That's between Canada and the US. Since the beginning of the year, travel between Canada and the US by air is down. It's down like close to 8% for July. However, this is not just Canada not going down to the US. It's actually also the US is not coming to Canada. Overall, it's down 7.8%. Here we have Doug Ford explain that Mark Carney is no Justin Trudeau. He is the biggest licker around.
Carney is no Justin Trudeau. He's a business mind. He's run massive multi-billion-dollar businesses, and he's bringing the business approach to the federal government that hasn't had that approach in the last 10 years. He wants to get things going. He comes from Alberta. He believes in prosperity, opportunity. So I have all the confidence that he's going to listen to the premiers and straighten out the federal government once and for all.
Straighten out the federal government once and for all. Complete and utter chaos and collapse. We're seeing all our money flood out of the country. What is Doug Ford talking about? Doug Ford is the absolute worst. Who remembers that he did a snap election 4 months ago so that he could align himself with Mark Carney and the Liberals? It is so disgusting what he did. He's the worst. Well, I got a clip for you here, and I have to warn you, it's painful to watch.
Morning, Premier Liam Casey with the Canadian Press.
Hi, Liam.
What's the plan for the ban on American booze?
I apologize, ban on?
American booze.
Well, it's still going to be banned until they cut the tariffs or we make a deal with them. It's not coming on our shelves. So, thank you.
So just to clarify, if tariffs are removed or if there's a deal,
if there's a deal, another USMCA deal, which I don't think is going to happen for the next few months, but you never know with President Trump. He could pull the carpet out from underneath us in a heartbeat like he has before, or they get rid of their tariffs, and then we'll bring the booze back into the LCBO. And if they don't, then they aren't getting any booze on our shelves.
You know what's unbelievable about this whole thing? Is that booze from the US are compliant with USMCA. So in fact, Doug Ford is the one that's breaking the deal. This guy's gonna ruin our relationship with the US. He's making sure that US citizens don't want to come to Canada for vacation, and it's already affecting tourism. This guy needs to shut his mouth. So I did a poll to see what Canadians thought about Doug Ford banning US booze from the LCBO. First option, dumbest I've ever seen, 41%. Ford is a straight up clown, got 32%. I need a drink right now, 4%. And Canada is finished, 22%. And the sentiment amongst liberal voters is changing. If you could see Tony here, he wrote, I gave him a chance and now I want him gone. He's not the only one. There's a lot of liberal voters that are not happy right now, and they're voicing their opinions on social media. And I wrote, this sentiment is being felt by many voters that chose Carney. Regrets are starting to kick in across Canada. The number one issue in Canada is affordability. Prices are about to explode under this new government. Same old government. I just showed you all of the capital flight. I think it's a good time to take a look at real estate. John Flynn on X has provided us this chart. Treb's bank sales have skyrocketed 95% since August of 2024, a staggering 600% since August of 2023. So that's only in 2 years. Mortgage insurers are also popping up more frequently, fueling this frenzy. How much worse are things gonna get? Let's look a little bit deeper into this chart. What do you think is the most important concept in this chart? This is 2 years worth of data. What stands out to me is the sheer increase all the way up. There's no sign in this thing turning around. How far is this thing gonna go? Is this just the beginning? That's the question. Because now we know that our mortgage interest rates are gonna be going up in Canada. And it's because no one has confidence in Mark Carney. The world is rejecting Canada, and they're taking their money with them. This chart is also from Market Mania. He's also on YouTube, so go ahead and check him out on YouTube and X. Foreign central bank hold more gold than treasuries. So the yellow is gold holdings as a percentage of foreign reserves, and U.S. Treasury holdings as a percentage of foreign reserves. For the first time since 1996, they have crossed over. So the world is holding more gold than U.S. treasuries. Guess how much gold Canada has? Canada has 0 gold. We used to have 1,000 tons of gold. Now we have absolutely 0. Our government thought it was a genius idea to buy U.S. treasuries instead of gold. Canada sold its last bar of gold in 2015. So Canada sold its gold way back when the gold price was worthless. Look, in 2015 was the last time we held gold. Look how low it was. It's below $1,500 an ounce. If we actually look back even further when we had that 1,000 tons of gold, if we look, when we had 1,000 tons of gold, we sold it at $500 an ounce. Today, that gold in Canadian dollar per ounce is $4,683. Why don't we do some math? Because I absolutely love doing math. In order to do the calculation, we need to take 1,000 tons and turn it into ounces. And I just did that right here. So 1,000 tons is over 35 million ounces. Now, 4,686 times that number, the 35 million, and I'm going to press go. Holy crap. We would have had $165 billion. I know most of you will say that's nothing based on Mark Carney's spending plan for our military. That is actually 5% of our GDP towards our military. You know what? We could have used that gold to pay for our military for 1 year. But the thing about gold is it protects your currency in a downturn. I wanted to show you the gold because we could now see that we are heading towards a downturn and we have 0 protection from gold. What exactly provides us with protection? Is it the United States? We turned our back on them. Is it Europe? Based on what we're seeing, the only people that's got our back is Mark Carney. Oh, save us, please, Big Daddy. I saved the best for last. The only place that is hiring is our federal government at the top. Look at everything else. All industries are shedding jobs. Leading the way is Canada's manufacturing. How far are we going to bleed out because the government can't employ all of us? What's going to create things in this country? Based on our government's performance, they are the worst at creating anything except for poverty. So based on the data that I delivered to you all today, I had to go on my Twitter X account and publish, is it time for Donald Trump to accept Canadians as refugees exiting this hostile fallen state? Who agrees? Well, it got 45,000 people and 300 comments. Maybe we should take a look at some of the comments. We have Derek Smith from Unacceptable Fringe. Go ahead and follow him on his YouTube channel. He's got great content. Are we ready to go? And Grey Wolf on X, he provided us the Igloo, Make Canada Great Again, or the Mega Igloo. Michelle says, it's time, Donald Trump annexation, and she describes the downward spiral of Canada and food banks. And Polly says, I love where I live, so it's just time for annexation. People don't want to move down to the US. They just want to stay as is. But we need the complete removal of the incompetence in Ottawa. And Maverick Fourth says, a new immigration pathway must be established at the United States border from Canadians seeking to leave what has become a communist-like state in Canada. I hope this message spreads across all of the United States government officials. I have to say, yes, they should. That's it for today's report. The world is rejecting the Liberal Party and Mark Carney. And how do we know this? By money. Money speaks, and it's flowing out of this country. How are we going to stop the flow of money from leaving Canada? Pretty soon, it's going to be the people leaving. If the U.S. decide to open up the gates to Canadians, would you go? Based on what we're seeing in Canada right now, it's not looking good. I'll see you on the next report.